Longevity to me isn't just about living longer. There's two parts to it. One is living longer. One is having the quality of life, both physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, to remain relevant and be purposeful and useful to society. Longevity, the work done in 2013 has laid out 12 specific hallmarks for aging. Effectively, the 12 can be divided into three big groups. The primary group is where you look mostly on the genetic element of aging, genome stability, telomere length. The second one looks at energy metabolism, mitochondrial function, the ability for the cell to pick up signals. And the last one is how well the cells communicate. So this is where chronic inflammatory response, stem cell function, all of those come into place. IM8, when they came up with the longevity formula, looked at 5 key areas. First of all, how do you make the cell itself solid? They use compounds like glycine and taurine, based on the hallmark paper that came out in 2023 that showed that those two things are critical for the cell itself to work really well. Then you have the things that go on to remove the cells that are not working as well, okay? So this is things like resveratrol, quercetin, fisetin. Those compounds, they are very expensive actually individually. They combine together to get rid of what we call senescent cells. These are cells, or also called zombie cells. These are cells that are no longer functioning, but instead of being removed, they're just standing there and they release inflammatory mediators and they're becoming harmful. So as you age, and if you don't clear these cells, they start accumulating and they release a lot of ineffective and toxic products within the environment. And that whole environment makes you age faster and faster and faster, which then repeats the cycle of more and more and more of these senescent cells. So removing them is one of the key hallmarks to really control aging. The next one is making sure the cell has energy. NAD, we've all heard about, but NAD is a large compound, very difficult to get it into the cell. So you can use something orally called NMN, which is a much smaller compound that will get into the cell. How do you get rid of the cells that are aging? Like senolytics is one way, but also you want to replenish cells as they're becoming less and less efficient. That's called autophagy. And autophagy is a naturally occurring system that with the right nutrients, you'll promote autophagy. One of the things that happens as we age is autophagy goes down. We don't get rid of dysfunctional cells. So improving autophagy is also just as important. From a muscle aging concept, you got to look at two big groups called AMPK and sirtuin-1. These are genes that control how well you age. Using things like dihydroberberine instead of standard berberine is very, very important in activating those pathways so that you activate the right way to age and slow down the aging process. I would suggest start taking it at the age of around 40, when biologically we are starting to shut down, right? Kidney function, liver function, detox function, muscle mass, heart function, everything starts slowing down once you start hitting 40. So at that point, if you can introduce these things and make sure your cells have enough energy, make sure you're getting rid of cells that do not work, making sure your genes are stable, then you can really influence the aging process. And by the time you're 60, 65, you'll really reap the benefit of this. IMA's longevity product's unique is that it's one packet, 7.8 grams in a sachet of professional grade therapeutic dosing. That's very, very powerful. A lot of the anti-aging items out there have a fraction of the dosing that this particular compound has. That's what I really like about it.